Welcome back to the eCom Growth Show. I'm your host, Danan Coleman, founder of eCom Triage, co-founder of Catalog Defender, and I have Rick Elmore from Simply Noted. We have done a podcast before about handwritten notes, but I think that Rick may take this a step further, and we're going to talk about that today. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I've got 5 questions prepared for you. We're going to go rapid fire. We're going to try to keep this to about a 20 to 25 minute podcast. I know you have a wealth of information. You've been doing this a long time. One of the things that impressed me the most is that you build all your machinery in-house, don't you?
Yeah, that was unintentional. We were actually forced to because the product that we are selling, there was nothing off the shelf that at the end of the day could do it. And we learned that a couple of years into this business. So it's been 6 years of just constant improving, iteration, growing, and we actually have developed the world's only completely automated handwritten mail platform from start to finish. And we actually have 9 patents on our software.
Wow, that's awesome. And so we were talking a week ago or something like that, and I asked you, could a customer feed the information over to you to make every single letter completely customized to each client? And you told me yes.
Absolutely. So the one thing that's different with Simply Noted is how easy it is to integrate and automate and send a genuine pen written note. In the past, it's been like printed fonts where it's just a laser printer printing something. But with Simply Noted, everything that we do is completely customizable from the design of the card. So every card's design could be different. Every word that's written with a pen can be hyper custom and personal down to that one person. And the envelope's completely handwritten as well. We use no branding and we use real physical forever stamps. So at the end of the day, we're helping people automate an authentic personal touch in an increasing digital and AI world to keep that human to human connection alive without lifting a finger. So that person who receives a card is going to believe that brand, that person, that company actually sent it to them.
Yeah, I love it. All right, cool. Well, let's get into the questions because I want to talk about how e-commerce and digital sales companies and brands can utilize your service. So question number 1 is, what makes personalized handwritten notes such a powerful marketing tool in our world of digital worlds today?
Sure. Well, in the terms of like e-commerce and like buying online, is that there's just so much opportunity for somebody to go out there and now get information, read reviews. There's different brands, there's different companies. And to really build that brand loyalty to where people keep coming back, it's going to take something a little bit more than just retargeting them on like a Meta ad or a Google ad. I know there's some brands that I'm like really I want to say like in love with. There's like a luxury hat brand. They're not really luxury. I know the owner. I have like an affinity to the company, but Melon, I grew up with the guy. But, to have something where you're actually physically connected to that company, it's going to take more than just like an automated email sequence that's really nicely done. It's going to take more than just like popping up on their timeline every once in a while. It's going to take some type of connection that plants a seed in their brain that, hey, this brand stands out a little bit more. And how can you do that now? Everybody's so focused on like the digital aspects and the AI aspects. And where people are not competing as often is the mailbox. The mailbox, if you thought about it in the 90s, was completely full. And that's why email worked, because email was new. People were excited to like open an email because it was kind of like, exciting to receive an email. But
Yeah,
now like the mailbox is empty.
the physical mail.
Yeah, physical mailbox is empty. I don't know if this is going to be on the video, but when you get something like this in the mail, it's intriguing.
Absolutely.
And
No,
the
it's
stats
basically
say
one of the only
99.
things that I open are
Yeah,
handwritten.
yeah. So like it's intriguing. The stats say 99% open rate,
Yeah.
and it's physical, and people are going to remember that. So that's what we're trying to do is help these brands connect in a way that's more memorable without lifting a finger.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So, speaking of getting an open rate, how can e-commerce brands use physical touch points to stand out from their competitors?
So, we have a Shopify integration, but you can integrate into any platform, Klaviyo, Amazon resale, whatever.
Hmm.
But there's just different opportunity points. I think after first purchase, if your product makes sense, maybe if your product's like a a digital product and they're downloading it for 99 cents, it wouldn't make sense. But a lot of these brands who are selling like, clothes, bags, I like this company called Peak Design. I don't know if you see
Yeah, I
it,
like
but Peak
design.
Design,
Yep. Oh, that's that one,
where
is that the self-standing backpack that when you open it, it goes boonk, it's like spring?
I don't know. I've had the same
Okay,
backpack for like 2 years and it's
okay.
amazing. It still looks brand new. But
Yeah,
like, if your average ticket price is like in the hundreds of dollars, 100, 200, 300 or more, after the initial purchase, it's a great opportunity to follow up. Also, like abandoned cart. Some of these brands have like thousands of dollars and someone puts something in a cart. You can try to get them back by sending a piece of mail. Anniversary of a purchase or just, a certain item within your store, like there's just so many opportunities. But where it makes sense is like thanking them after that first purchase or after a big purchase or an anniversary of a purchase and really building that relationship with them in a way that the other brands aren't.
yeah, I like it. I just had a thought, and I wonder if you could integrate this fully with Shopify, but you know how you can do, like serial discount codes so that a code can only be used
You can
once?
do that.
So you
It's
so
dynamically inserted into the message. Yeah, you absolutely can.
Okay, so just to clarify here, I could have my Shopify as soon as somebody purchases, I send out a thank you note. And then let's say Tom buys this thing from me. And I say in a handwritten note, thanks so much for buying the Peak Design backpack. For your next Peak Design offer, use the code Tom123 and it'll
Yeah,
give you
that's it.
10% off. Oh my God, that's so
As long as
good.
Shopify can dynamically create that code, we can dynamically pass that code. So it's not a
Love it.
problem. So it's just
Dude,
a
that's so cool.
unique, custom, one time, yeah, use. Yep, not a problem.
Wow,
And
cool.
that's like what's been really hard about growing this business. At the end of the day, we're sending something so simple, a
Yep.
handwritten note, but
Yep.
it's so technical behind the scenes. So it usually takes somebody with some like domain experience to understand like, hey, how Shopify works. And most people do if they have a business on an e-commerce platform, they'll kind of understand like how the guts of the system work.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you can really understand like how automation works, like how integrations work, you can do whatever you want with a physical handwritten piece through Simply Noted.
Amazing. Okay, cool. All right, next question is how can e-commerce brands use automation to trigger well, actually, you know what? We actually just handled that. Like, well, no,
Well,
you know
yeah,
what?
you
I'll
can
do
use a
that.
Shopify integration, you can use
Yep.
Zapier, you can use webhooks, you can use API integrations. There's a million ways to skin this cat. It's really just identifying how you want to use it. Again, that goes back to what I was saying. It's like a lot of people get into this analysis paralysis mode. Is like, I don't understand that. I'm not sure. And then like, gosh, I was talking to somebody yesterday where they said this. They get like decision fatigue. They get like thought fatigue about it, and then they just move on. It's really just important, like just understanding like the end goal, like, hey, this is what I want to send, and then reaching out to us and we help you set it up. And then let us like kind of walk you through like the technical like process of setting it up. But if you understand how Shopify or your e-commerce like automation system works, like how creating discount codes work, how information, products, how all that's set up with like account information, first name, last name, address. As long as you understand how all that's set up, setting up the automation is not a problem. You can do it through Shopify. We have a Shopify App Store integration. You can do it through Zapier or Zapier. You can do it through N8N. You can do it through a webhook. You can do it through an API integration. It's whatever how your system works. Again, that's why it's been hard to build because we've built a platform where people can use us where they want to use us versus making them come to us and use us how we want them to use us, if that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, no, it makes total sense. All right, so speaking in the same vein here, I want to go into you showed me this before we started recording. Like you and I are both using Go High Level for our CRMs, right? So the question is how can ecom brands integrate hand mail into Shopify, Klaviyo, HubSpot, Go High Level, whatever workflows that are out there without creating the manual overhead on
Sure. I mean, you just really got to understand like what workflow you want to integrate it into, like where at what point do you want to integrate it to? Do you want to integrate it as its own independent workflow, or do you want to integrate it into your normal onboarding workflow where you're sending emails, you're updating your CRM? You just got to pick where you want it to integrate, and then take the steps to integrate it. And again, we're completely flexible to do it. If you want to do it just understand at the at the very end of like sending it, what do you want it to look like, and then we help you implement it. But you can do it out of HubSpot. You can do it out of Go High Level. You can do it out of Salesforce. If somebody makes a purchase within your e-commerce platform and that data is synced to your CRM, when that data gets sent to your CRM, we can kick off a workflow. So everything's tracked in your CRM, like, hey, email was sent, handwritten note was sent, and then you have a timeline of events so you can track all of that.
That's so cool, right?
It's
And
technical, which has really been hard to scale this, but
yeah,
yeah, but it's
yeah.
like if you want to do it, we can help you do it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna back up for just a second here. Anyone that doesn't actually know what the concept of workflows are, think of it of if this action happens, then walk down this series of steps. So, for instance, somebody purchases from your website. Well, okay, now that the purchase has happened and it's been fulfilled, then go and send them an email saying, "We hope you got your purchase and you loved it." And then 3 weeks later, go send them a handwritten note saying, "Hey, how's it going?
Mhm.
We just wanted to check in. By now, you should be ready to reorder your edible roses or whatever. Here's a discount code for you." So, workflows are automations that are put into place that travel down a sequential series of steps to a known and designed end. So, he's basically saying that you can integrate handwritten notes into this. You literally don't have to ever pick up a finger. Just it automatically, based on your customer journey and the timeline that you put and the parameters that you put in place, will automatically send it over to his company, which is simply noted, and it will handwrite that note and send it out to that client. And you literally don't do a darn thing except reap the rewards of that incredible system.
I think you just did a really good job at just making it is like foundationally, you brought you said it in layman's terms. I think you did a really good
Yeah.
job of explaining that.
Well, thanks. I think in layman's terms. I'm a rocket surgeon. I am not. So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've got one last question here for you. What impact have you seen on lifetime value, repurchase rate, or referrals coming to the brands from these touch points that you're getting with your handwritten notes or letters?
Yeah, I would say our best customers who are the ones who use us, and these are the customers who've been using us for years, are the ones who've been using us for relationship building. So
Mm.
sending out thank you cards, sending out anniversary cards, those touches that keep people coming back. There is a huge part of our business where people try to use us for like developing new business, booking meetings, like direct mail, that kind of stuff. But when you think about your business, what is your business? Your business is providing a service to people and people pay you for that service. And the only way to scale your business is to keep those people coming back is one, to get them to refer their friends is two, or get them to leave a review, right? Which is going to push you up in the rankings, which is going to build more trust and visibility. So it's really thinking of it as like a tool to build brand loyalty and how can you implement that into your system. You can go to simplynoted.com and just upload once a year, like, hey, I want to send a holiday card to all my clients. I wouldn't recommend that because at the end of the year, everybody's receiving holiday cards. Automating an anniversary of a purchase or anniversary of being a client, that's very personal and that's going to kind of like resonate like one to one from brand to customer or after that first purchase, right? That first purchase, that first 30 days, everything has to go good, right? From the order going in, payment, communication, product shipping, product delivery, making sure the product is good. So the first 30 days is kind of like a high pressure 30 days for every brand. So what can you do within that first 30 days to leave the best, most amazing impression on that client to make sure that, they're buying into your brand, they're happy, they're willing to refer their friends and they're willing to leave reviews. And I think something like this is where that fits in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. As you were explaining this, I just thought of a way that I could implement this just with my own client base. Because actually, one of the things that I recently discovered is that because my service is automated to my clients, and they only pay for performance, so that means that sometimes there are weeks or even months where there's no transaction, and I've not been manually following up with every single client just to say, "How's it going? We've removed this many reviews for your Amazon product so far." And I could absolutely implement a system like this that And as we said, I'm using Go High Level for my CRM. I could automate this with you.
You can. So what I mean, I don't know the inner workings of your business, but like how I would
Me neither.
implement a tool like this. You what?
Me neither. I'm still working that out.
Yeah, so, like, what I would do is, like, have an automation into your payment platform. You know, when somebody pays an invoice, send them a card and said, "Hey, thanks, you know, we're so thankful to work with you," blah, blah, whatever you want. And then within Go High Level, have another system every time a, bad review is removed within that system, like, "Hey, we're so happy we're able to do this." You know, use an LLM or something to make a hyper personalized message so they're not getting something similar,
Yeah.
and then make sure something within that workflow is they're not getting more than 2 handwritten notes a year or 3 handwritten notes a year. So
Mm.
you're automating it within your if this then that workflow or your sequential workflow or N8N or Zapier Make or Go Hello, however you want to manage your workflows.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's how I would implement it for like a client retention. For closing, I would do it after, you've pitched somebody like a proposal, right? And I would automatically send it like, hey, thanks for your time. We're excited for the possibility of working with you because sometimes, like every business, right? Your close rate is all over the place. It can be 10%, 20%, 30%, but there's 70% of those people who don't close. But
Yep.
imagine if you can get an extra 10% of those people
Yep.
by just connecting with them differently. So there's infinite ways of using it. I would use it for buying in trust, buying in loyalty, and keeping those people coming back. But I still use everything else. I still use Google Ads, cold calling, cold email, social, meta retargeting. I still do all that stuff. But every business that's been able to weather the storms over time, they're leveraging every tools because when one tool doesn't work, say your ads, maybe you're going to get a referral or a repeat purchase or some article is going to go crazy, viral online or some social media post that's going to drive it. So you got to kind of play in every field, if that makes sense. You can't
Yeah.
just put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. I say the same thing when it comes to e-commerce, those that are selling solely on Amazon. And look, I'm guilty of this myself, even to this very day. But I don't sell private brands on Amazon, my own private brand. So I think you have to diversify the networks on which you are selling. So you now have Walmart. You've got, of course, we've always had eBay. We've got Rivly.com that's launching very soon. That's going to be a really big one for ecom brands. And then Timu are hardcore trying to attract local, American businesses that are selling on Amazon. I support what you're saying because I say the same thing in e-com space. Like with Amazon, if one thing doesn't work, well, now the whole thing doesn't work.
Mhm. And you never wanna be in that place, like, you wanna be so well-rounded. And I always like to say this too, when we're doing shows like this, is like there's a gold mine under your nose with just your current client list. There's people who've already worked with you. There's people who already know you. There's people who've already come and signed up, and there's ways to enrich that data, take their emails and look up their home addresses if you don't have their home addresses, running that list through the NCOA, National Change of Address, and verifying they still live there, pulling their socials or socials as in, I always say that and it sounds like social security number. Their socials as like Facebook, Instagram, right? And getting all this data. But, by just working your current client list, you're going to have, I would say, more success rates than just Google ads because you're paying Google every single time for a new opportunity versus retargeting, retouching, and trying to keep, old opportunities to come back. Those people already know you, right? If they haven't done
Mhm.
business with you, try to get them to do business with you. Or if they have done business with you, try to come back, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of ways to skin this cat. I know
Yep.
every brand's different. Not everybody's going to have the same success doing the same things, but that's really, really what it comes down to you as the brand, the owner, the marketer, the CEO, is to come up with a recipe that works for you. But you only come up with that by trying new things. And I'm constantly iterating. It's the only way that we've survived as a bootstrap technology company. Is like we have to stay ahead of the times. We have to adjust. We have to evolve. And if you don't, especially now with AI, the people who are evolving are going to exponentially get further ahead. So it's what are you going to do to evolve with them and buy into that loyalty to ride out this next crazy AI storm?
Love it. Rick, thanks so much for coming on the show. Anyone that wants to find out more about what he does and how he can help you and your brand, go to simplynoted.com, mention the Ecom Growth Show, and test it out. I'll bet you it'll work for you. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
See ya.